Welcome to News Now, Alberta. This is Special Ed. Today we're looking at a cop that violently pushed a woman into her cell, knocking her out.
Stop.
I'm not done nothing to you.
Go in there.
In the Brookfield, Ohio jail, that is Jennifer Miller.
I don't need to go in there.
You do.
With that police throw in the cell, Miller has been knocked unconscious. Here's a ceiling camera view. Following this incident, Miller filed a federal lawsuit accusing police of excessive force and violating her constitutional rights.
Now, this girl was caught drinking and driving, which is bad. I don't condone that at all. She did her time. She accepted that she was drinking and driving, but she did not deserve what she got here. And the cops found every excuse, right? She had high heels with glossy bottoms, so she slipped.
Now, the police are paying up. As the headline says, settlement reached in Brookfield excessive force case. Miller, a Brookfield resident, originally sought $1 million in compensatory damages plus punitive damages, citing physical injuries, emotional distress, and legal and medical expenses. The lawsuit also claimed Brookfield Township failed to properly train officers on arrest procedures and use of force. Miller requested court-ordered policy changes to prevent future misconduct. All of this began in November 2023, just after 11 o'clock at night, when Miller was pulled over.
You already know I'm up. You know that.
I
know.
could tell.
Police arrested her for operating a vehicle while intoxicated and brought her to the police department.
Stop.
I'm not done nothing to you.
Go in there.
When Miller refused to go into the cell, Officer Cody Dean threw her to the floor.
I don't need to go in there.
You do.
Miller filed a formal police complaint against Officer Dean. The police department then conducted an internal investigation and cleared him. The police found the incident was a combination of, quote, Miller's intoxicated state, resistance to entering the cell, and the officer's one-handed pull and push contributed to the fall and injury. The internal report also stated she was wearing what appeared to be a high-heeled boot with a glossed heel, which would have added to her feet coming out from under her. With police blaming the tumble in part on Miller's footwear, the Ohio woman then brought a federal civil rights lawsuit. She said she'd been shoved to the ground in a martial arts-style throw, knocking her unconscious. According to Miller's lawsuit claim, she was not behaving aggressively, nor did she pose any threat to the officer.
So she was not violently resisting. She was not putting up a fight. She refused to go in. All she said was wait. She did not fight not to go in. This cop abused his power, knocked her out, and basically got away with it.
It says she suffered substantial physical pain, loss of daily function, mental anguish, emotional distress, injury to reputation, and incurred substantial costs, including legal fees and medical treatment and fees. Some or all of these injuries may prove permanent. The settlement and payout by the Brookfield, Ohio police has not been publicly disclosed. However, legal experts said Miller had a strong case. According to settled law and court rulings, police are not allowed to use force to take a suspect to the ground unless that person poses an imminent physical threat to themselves, a witness, or the police. Furthermore, the courts have ruled that saying no to a police officer's instructions about going into a cell or a police car or any form of custody does not justify physical force. The Brookfield Police Department and its chief Aaron Kazowitz are not talking about the settlement with Miller. A year ago, after the internal police investigation cleared Officer Cody Dean, Chief Kazowitz acknowledged that officers are required to handle prisoners with a respectable manner and with due care. The chief added that Officer Dean may not have handled the prisoner with due care. However, it is our belief that he was following policy. The chief also said, we've never had an incident like this in our holding area. The intent of the officer was not to cause her harm, and it is a tragic accident, and we are going to do what we can moving forward to assist with making sure this doesn't happen to anybody else. According to a department press release from 2024, the department is now keeping handcuffs on prisoners until they get into the holding cell instead of outside or in the waiting area. Also, the police department apparently looked at installing different flooring in the booking area to, quote, keep from slippage. With all due respect to the Brookfield Police Department and Chief Aaron Kazowitz, here's an idea. Have all of your officers engage in de-escalation training and teach your officers the law. Throwing anybody to the ground because they mouth off or say something you don't like is outrageous. The courts have long held that everybody, even prisoners, have a right to tell an officer to do that thing that is anatomically impossible. If a cop can't handle verbal insults and quickly chooses physical force, that person should not be a police officer. Period. Let a judge and jury decide if somebody is resisting or engaged in obstruction, and then the court can decide if a punishment is warranted. But police, just because they are frustrated, are not entitled to throw somebody to the ground and knock them out. And in this case, the Brookfield, Ohio Police Department is lucky that Jennifer Miller didn't get more seriously hurt and cost the department even more money in a financial settlement. And by the way, most police departments do not pay the financial settlements themselves. They carry insurance for cases like this. However, the taxpayers pay for the police insurance. And you can bet that insurance premiums being paid by the city of Brookfield, Ohio, have now gone up dramatically. In any case, kudos to Jennifer Miller for having the courage to take on the local police. Miller pleaded guilty to operating a vehicle while intoxicated, the initial reason she was arrested. She paid a fine and had her license suspended for a year. In other words, she took responsibility for her actions. And that seems to be more than the Brookfield Police Department has done. Because while the police have paid to settle the excessive force case, they are still refusing to take any public responsibility or publicly admit they did anything wrong.
No, they blamed everything on everything. Oh, she was drunk. Oh, she slipped on the floor. We're changing the flooring so it doesn't happen again. He did not break policy. So policy is that you can throw a drunk woman on the ground. Like, this cop broke policy because he has to treat her with respect. Now they're changing the flooring. Unless they put, like 3-inch padding on the floor, changing the flooring is not going to do anything when somebody is violently pushed to the ground. Officer Dean was cleared of absolutely everything because he rendered help right away and he didn't mean to knock her out. So that's fine. If I hit my neighbor and I don't mean to knock him out, then I'm good. I don't go to jail, I guess. What do you think of this? Let me know in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.